What's up, everyone, and welcome to Metalcore Nerds. For some reason, I let these guys talk me into doing this again. We're talking Dune. We're going to talk a little Spider-Man trailer, but I have with me Joey Stone.
Whoa, real quick, I'd like to thank Sean for joining me and Ethan on our podcast. Always great to have him. Looking forward to getting his insights. As always, his very positive outlook, really refreshing for me and Ethan's generally ice cold.
You might know Joey and I from bumming everybody out on the Metalcore Nerds Facebook group and giving our genuinely negative approach to every single trailer or not trailer, whichever one you want to split hairs about.
Hey, if we're gonna go into the trailer thing, when Joey just couldn't perfectly decipher what a trailer and what's not a trailer, let's not get into that conversation.
Let's start right off the fucking bat because my problem was not trailer or teaser. My problem was that it sucked every dick and dick down. It wasn't even a fucking teaser. The people who put
It wasn't a teaser. You're right. It was part of this big sizzle reel that had nothing to do with the teaser. It was.
It wasn't a sizzle reel unless it was a sizzle reel for Hulk 2010. There was no. It was just some chick getting off the train and then the old Hulk movies.
There's nothing from those old Hulk movies in those trailers. You're on drugs. Are you on?
All of that shit was from old Hulk movies. All of it.
None of it was. Smart Hulk was from the old Hulk movies.
All I remember was there was a
Tatiana Maslany is from the old Hulk movies.
The soda thing going by, the Hulk coming through that friggin' thing in the friggin' smoke, the fucking pagoda, the fucking Columbia shit. All that shit was from old Hulk movies.
I think you watched a fake trailer because that's not in the footage they showed. I swear to God.
The fucking link you showed.
I didn't show a link of She-Hulk. No, I didn't.
Of the teaser? Someone posted it in Metalcore.
Oh, it's probably there's a 14-minute video on Disney Plus that they did a recap of all the Disney Plus shows, and then they showed a bunch of clips from new stuff.
Let's talk about that.
There's nothing with the old stuff, old Hulk stuff, in any of that.
Fucking minutes of just. I had to watch fucking 15 minutes of WandaVision, and then like.
It was stupid. Yeah, that was
covering shit that I had already seen.
I don't know.
Fucking waited out so that they could show me She-Hulk's leg, and then Moon Knight's kooky fucking voice. I was like, what is going on right now? Why am I watching this entire thing?
That shit, that's what threw me on the whole fuck. Because at least that showed shit from Moon Knight. And I was like, oh, this looks cool. Those guys look cool. I don't know what that is. That's pretty cool. Then that voice comes in at the end. I'm like, is this a fucking comedy? Because it sounded like he was trying to be funny. I didn't even know if that was Oscar Isaac talking. I was like, I don't get it.
Is there a voice coach out there that's like trying to make things funnier by telling like actors to do kooky voices? Because The Dark Knight Rises would be a fantastic movie if it weren't for fucking that's doing a wild interpretation of an English person. I don't really understand what he's doing as
Oh boy.
Someone needs to stop Tom Hardy from starring in movies. Can we please get that man away from film? If he is not a like co-star, we need to get him down a peg. We need to bring him down a peg.
I mean, you're kind of probably right about that. This is Ethan. If you didn't know, this is Ethan. Ethan Harrison. He's in the band Great American Ghost. He's been on the podcast a lot of times. So is Joey. It's always a good time. It started off just how I expected. So as anyone who's been on this show, they know I write a nice outline, and for this one I didn't even bother because I knew it was pointless.
He's learning.
I took so many notes for the Justice League one, and I used none of them. Literally 0% of them.
But making all those notes was a complete waste of Rob's time. I don't know if you know that. Completely wasted Rob's time.
Shout out to Rob. Who made the joke that like Rob can sit in the corner and just watch or something? One of you guys did. Yeah, that was good. Rob, if you're listening to this is for you. So before we get into Dune, we were gonna talk about the Spider-Man trailer. It has about 20 billion views already. Because everyone in the world is watching it. So what do you? I'm sure you guys hated it. So what do you guys think of it?
That's rude. That's rude. Yeah, because we all know that things that have been viewed a lot of times are inherently good.
Not always. I did not like Venom 2. I know you're surprised I didn't like something, and that movie made so much. It's still making money, and I'm like, why? I don't even understand it. I
I
don't.
still haven't seen it.
Don't bother.
You haven't seen it yet? You
Don't
should
bother.
definitely just for the fury that you're gonna feel after you watch it.
Watch him like it.
Spider-Man trailer. No.
I don't think he will like it.
No.
If I didn't like it, there's no way he's liking it.
I've yelled in Joey's vicinity enough times to know that he is going to hate that movie.
Yeah, that movie's good. That movie made me furious, and it's going to make you probably even more mad than it made me. It made me very mad. You can hear me talking about an hour of how much it made me mad in an episode from 3 weeks ago.
Someone stop him. Someone stop Tom Hardy, please.
Okay, Ethan, Spider-Man trailer.
So just for the record, all right. Just for the record, I just need you guys to know that just like in the Justice League podcast, I am watching Dune right now. It is
Live stream, live watch along of Dune.
In the background, it is happening. Gurney Halleck is being Duncan Idaho, and Duncan Idaho is being Gurney Halleck right now. We'll get there. But anyway, the Spider-Man trailer was fucking fine. Ned is Hobgoblin.
He's not Hobgoblin. He's not Hobgoblin.
He's so excited. I'm so excited that they're gonna let him fall. He's gonna save Zendaya. He's gonna save Mary Jane, and then fucking Ned's gonna fall in a vat of acid, and then we're gonna get a true fucking Hobgoblin out of this movie, and I'm so excited about it, right? And then other than that, I thought it was fine. I don't care about Sandman at all. Joey and I just had this conversation. I'm gonna steal his point. The lizard guy looks like shit. He just looks like an asshole with scales. And I'm glad that they brought Jamie Foxx back and didn't cover him in electricity or whatever.
And make him blue for no reason.
Yeah, make him blue. Willem Dafoe is going to crush it. And mark my words, Doc Ock is going for a babyface turn at the end of the movie. He's going to save Peter.
There's a shot. There's a shot where Electro hits Doc Ock. Yes.
I know. And listen, what's that gentleman's name? Something Molina?
Alfred Molina.
He is a great actor.
Yes.
You can tell by the very small amounts of acting that you get to see in those trailers that he's got there's all sorts of empathy right in this area right here. You're seeing all sorts of love coming out of him. He's gonna turn.
I'm gonna make a bold statement. Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, the best Spider-Man villain of all the movies. Not even close. No one comes close.
Vulture?
And honestly, that's my favorite Spider-Man movie because of Alfred Molina.
At no point in the whatever the fuck Spider-Man I'm Gonna Go Home or whatever it's called, the first one, was ever gonna hurt. At no point did I think that there was any stakes in that movie. There was no stakes. I liked it because it's an MCU. Spider-Man's coming in. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. But at no point was he gonna hurt Peter Parker. This is never gonna happen.
I don't know about that. That car scene? It's good stuff. The car scene? The one where he knows he's Spider-Man? That's good shit.
No, listen, I'm saying that gentleman is a great. I don't know why I'm spacing on everyone's fucking name right now.
Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton is a fantastic actor. I got there before you did. Michael Keaton is a fantastic actor, so that part was good. But at no point did I think he was gonna hurt Peter Parker.
I mean, I guess that's fair. There's one thing I want to say in putting the zeitgeist before Joey goes fucking ballistic. Everyone's saying, who's the sixth member of the Sinister Six? Well, guess what, kids? There is no Sinister Six in this movie. You know why? Because why would they make a Sinister Six movie in a team-up Spider-Man generational multiverse movie for 3 Spider-Man to take on Sinister Six? No, he's going to face the Sinister Six himself. They've been building a Sinister Six in the Spider-Man movies before this. So guess what? We're going to get a Sinister Six after this fucking movie with Tom Holland facing him by his fucking self. And that's it. You said Alfred Molina face turn. There's not even 5 villains. There's not even 5 villains.
I fully disagree with you on that.
No, I think so right off the bat on the trailer, I look at these things as, what are they writing? Here, what's happening? What am I seeing? As like Ethan was saying, and I was telling Sean before, the lizard design is completely awful. It's terrible. It's boring. It's unremarkable. I followed the concept artist who designed him on a bunch of sites, and he posted some of his other stuff. All of them were better. It's a boring fucking design. The Green
I could agree.
Goblin design from that movie, Willem Dafoe, is one of the worst things to ever happen in a comic to movie translation ever. It's maybe the worst. I'm going to say it's worse than Electro's because at least Electro's kind of made sense considering where the character was in the comics. That Robo Goblin makes me sick to my stomach and angry. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, I hope they change the design of these guys. And the first thing I see in the trailer is that shit ass fucking lizard, the shit ass Green Goblin. And I'm just like, this sucks so hard. That being said, what I understand the thing is he wants to make everyone forget that he exists, so he makes a spell thing. And what I thought I understood and what I heard is that he tries to change it last minute so only Mary Jane can remember him. That makes and he goes, you botched the spell, and the spell fucks up, and now all the universes are kind of collapsing. So I'm just like, this is going to end up being a problem for me. I know it, but seeing all those guys in a movie like running around and Spider-Man being there and Alfred Molina back as Doc Ock got me very fucking excited. Based just on the trailer, I thought, like, this is fucking cool. I just hope they don't fuck it up. But like you were saying, what I think is going to happen is if there's a sequel to this movie, there might be a Sinister Six, but I think you're going to end up with maybe a Green Goblin, Son Hobgoblin, maybe a Spider-Gwen equivalent, you know, maybe a Black Cat, a young Black Cat type thing. They're going to give him some homies who are also kids, I would think, because Disney's like, we got to put some more multiracial stuff in here. We need more people of color to be heroes, which is fine, awesome. I love new young heroes. You're going to get Spider-Man and friends versus whatever thing happens with the Sinister Six.
Yeah,
I also think Venom's going to appear in this one.
He
I'm
might.
hoping to God that this is what gets us good Venom movies. Like Marvel's gonna be like, can we just help you with this? Like,
yeah, they need that. They need to just let him go in the MCU and just not have Sony ever touch Venom ever again.
Yeah,
that'd be great. That'd
like,
be so great.
Just
yeah,
checks.
So bad.
Just
I've been waiting my whole fucking life for Carnage to walk through that hallway and kill a bunch of people in a prison, and they did it in a PG rated movie, and it was horrid.
And I gotta say, I loved Woody Harrelson for Carnage. I thought that was a great fucking
and
and I was like,
I love the casting too, and I don't know what movie he was acting in, but didn't seem like that movie. Nope.
It seems like these movies are just such a wreck that people just kind of like phone it in. Like they're just like, I don't know what this is supposed to be.
Eternals is apparently a train wreck. I haven't even seen the fucking thing yet, but like people have said it's a train wreck. Sean says it's good because of course he did. Like, but it's making it made $118 million in the first week. They have no incentive to make a good movie. There's no incentive.
I think, you know what I think it is? I think it's just the spirit of Venom. Doing a Venom movie without Spider-Man, just immediately you're behind the 8 ball. Just immediately. Like, it's he's such a great fucking character. But his whole fucking thing is based on Spider-Man, and then later being in Spider-Man's shadow, and then trying to like find his own. Like, it's like it sucks because he's such a popular character. And it should make a ton of money, but doing it without Spider-Man
so weird.
Fucking, you can't do it. You can't do it.
But the multiverse change that he goes. I'm just gonna ruin this fucking movie. I don't care. Sorry, Joey. The multiverse, like,
not much to ruin. Yeah.
Switch that Venom goes through, where Venom, you basically he's sitting in a hotel room and he gets like something changes, and then he's in the Spider-Man universe. He's in the MCU all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
Which is Sony. Who the fuck knows what they're doing now? Because Jared Leto's kicking around. I don't fucking care. But we got him to jump into the MCU. But that moment is what happens in No Way Home, right? So if he's in that universe at that time, they're not going to save him. He's going to be making his way to them the whole time. You won't know that, obviously, but Venom will appear at some point in that movie. And
I think it might be a post-credit scene or something. Maybe.
Yeah, if they just smash cut shoehorn Venom into the Spider-Verse, I would prefer they kept him out of it. I really would. I would prefer they kept.
What they did, literally what they did in Spider-Man 3 when they just shoehorned him into the end of the movie. He got like 10 minutes of fucking screen time and he was skinny for some reason.
Okay, but I'll
Yes.
even say that was better because that was like he was
Oh.
always in the fucking universe. Like, okay, we're gonna bring Venom now. I'm like, well, without the connection, without Venom being born out of a hatred of Spider-Man and Eddie Brock hating Peter Parker, that's dumb now. It doesn't make it better.
Yeah, right. They
Venom looks
cannot nail
dumb
that.
without the
They
spider. He
cannot.
doesn't have the spider on him. He looks dumb. He looks like Walmart brand fucking Venom. It's a bootleg Venom. It's and honestly, I don't care about Tom Hardy's Venom. Is cool. I don't care. I'm fine. Like his portrayal, I just can't get into the fucking movie. I just can't. It's like none of it means anything.
It makes no sense for him to be an anti-hero first. It doesn't make any sense. It's so weird.
Any fucking sense.
And they waste Carnage, and that's the part that pissed me off the most about that movie. They literally waste that whole character. I guess
annoying love affair thing that they're trying to make.
Oh God, it's so bad. It is. It's not great.
Did it Shriek?
Yes.
Let's talk about the quick sack cataract. Let's talk about the motif.
Yes. Let's go to something to greener, sandier passage. I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
About the desert right now, please.
Okay, let's get to some desert power and talk about Dune. So, the movie's doing very well, which is good. It just passed $350 million in the box office, mostly funded by international box office, which is fine. It's making money, so I don't give a fuck. And it got greenlit for part 2, which thank fucking God, because I think if it did, that everyone in the world would riot against Warner Brothers because they fuck so many things up anyway. If they fucked that up, that would have been very dumb. So it's doing very well. Part 2 coming in 2 years ish. And where do you guys want to start with this?
Ethan is the big Dune guy. So I'm gonna and he's read the books, whereas I've only attempted to read them. So
yeah, I'm like a fourth ish into the first book. So I saw about halfway through the movie ish. So
it's a bit of a slog. It's a bit of a slog, that 600 pages.
Yeah.
Once you get to like 300, you're rolling. All right. So first off, let's talk about the movie. It was very good. I liked it very much. First and foremost, I feel that it needs to be stated that the sound design is so incredible that it's making me talk about sound design to 2 other men. Like, it's so fucking good that I'm bringing it up to other adults. Like, I can't fully, I don't know if it's because, I don't think it's because I'm a musician, because I'm hardly a fucking musician, but like, I don't know, like audibly, like auditorily, that movie stuck with me. Like, I went to see it. I've seen it 3 times. This is the 4th one. So I legitimately desired seeing it again because of how the sound design made me feel, which Denis Villeneuve.
I think it's Villeneuve. Villeneuve. Yeah, I think. Everyone pronounces it differently.
I'm gonna check with someone who actually speaks Spanish on that one. But until then, he's Denis Villeneuve. So, Denis Villeneuve, like, that man's films always have incredible like soundscapes, and I always like them a lot. The best part about Blade Runner was the sound, which is not saying a very nice thing about a movie that was like 3 fucking hours long.
It's very long.
I liked the movie. I thought it was very good. I thought Timothy Chalamet Ding Dong did a fantastic job as Paul. Paul is supposed to be like an emaciated 15-year-old, and nobody plays emaciated 15-year-olds like Timothy. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And I liked him. I like that they shoehorn Zendaya into the movie a bunch, Chani, because she's super not supposed to be there until like.
There's no visions in the book like that, right?
No. So the book is split. Book 1 is 3 books. She doesn't show up until book 2. She's like literally not even mentioned. He's dreaming of someone vaguely, but he's not, he doesn't dream of Chani. Like, so they took some liberties, which I get, because Zendaya has very powerful representation, I'm sure. So it's like there's no way she's gonna not be in this for fucking 2.5 hours. So I thought that was good. It did a good job of like the visuals were cool. It's very goth Star Wars,
Yeah.
which is literally what Dune is, just goth Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Yeah.
Um, I liked that they didn't treat me like a fucking moron. And by that I mean
No,
that
not at all.
they didn't explain to me what a mentat was. They just
Nope.
used mentats. Like there's just a mentat, and if you don't know what that is, should have read the book. Like it's been out for 45 years. You know, like that's your fucking problem. So it's like, mentats are cool. If you want to know
Yeah,
about them,
very cool.
I'll tell you all about them. I'll punish you about them. But like, they just didn't like waste their time being like, this is a mentat. It's a human computer because we don't do computers because Terminator happened. Like they don't
Yeah,
do any of that
basically.
bullshit. It just is what it is. You are existing in this time, and I appreciate that about the movie. I loved fucking Leto. I loved Jessica. I thought she
Rebecca
was great.
Ferguson.
I
Yeah.
liked. I mean, I could name literally every character until, and then you'll notice that I leave out one, and that one character that I thought was a misrepresentation was Duncan, Idaho. They brutalized Duncan, Idaho, which I get because Blade Runner 2049 is so fucking painfully boring and heavy that like there's no humor in that movie at all. So Denis realized that he's like, I need some fucking humor. So he made Duncan, Idaho into a bro dude, which is fine. But he's a bro. He's like a beer bro.
He's
like,
definitely a
hey,
bro.
what's going on, little guy? Yeah, which he's not in the books. He's like a tortured soul in the books. But
Yeah,
this movie has plenty of tortured fucking souls. You know what I'm saying? Like,
a lot of that.
Speed it up, right? Exactly. Let's go. But they sacrificed a lot of Gurney Halleck, who is a great character, because Gurney is supposed to be the guy that's really close to Paul, and Paul is supposed to view Duncan from afar, but they kind of like flip that because, because Jason Momoa, he's sexy. He's the world's sexiest man until he shaves his beard, which really threw me off. Honestly, I really was less attracted to him after he shaved his beard off. It was wild.
That's funny.
Do you think so what you were saying, and I'm saying as someone who hadn't read the books, I thought this was set up in a way that like, and now that you've said it, I think Gurney is probably going to take that because they don't show him die, right?
No,
So
I definitely think he's coming back.
He'll probably slide into that role moving forward, is what I thought, without the perspective of I haven't read the book.
Sean, can I ask the both of you and the people watching, do you want me to spoil this whole fucking series?
Don't.
Or do you want, okay, so I shouldn't.
We'll go into.
Just tell you the ending of
no,
this book right
now. Don't do that. Okay. I was gonna say don't fully really spoil it. I know it's gonna be hard because really I know you have the. I know some things, but not like everything.
Okay. All right. Wait. All right. Wait. Okay. Wait. All right. I'm back. Hey, Joey. Yes. That's a really cool thing that you thought of.
Good job, buddy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I agree with a lot of the things you said. I mean, pretty much everything you said, other than I didn't fully hate Jason Momoa, but I think I just like Jason Momoa. So that and there was
extremely likable.
Yeah,
he is very
and
likable.
Exactly what you said about they didn't make you feel like an idiot. I love that they held no hands. I definitely had a leg up on, because even Sam, who knows nothing about Dune, was like, I love this fucking movie. It was amazing. It's very, very much like Game of Thrones when you start Game of Thrones. They don't explain anything to you, basically. They just, here's 20 million characters, learn them or be lost. That's it. That's all.
Right.
That's all you got.
Sink or swim.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I think that you would notice from the books, too, because Frank Herbert literally does that exact thing. Like, he just says shit.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, what the fuck is that? You're like 200 pages deep and you're like, wait, what's a Butlerian jihad? Like, what the hell is he talking about?
So do you know, so everyone goes into like the whole thing about how like, oh, Star Wars ripped off Dune, blah, 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 blah. And then they go into the whole, there's that whole other like story where like George Lucas was showing his like famous movie director buddies, who apparently they all went to the same movie club in like movie college. And I think it like Francis Ford Coppola, I think, who was watching Coppola, it.
Yeah.
Coppola, yeah. It was Coppola or one of the other ones. And when he was watching it with George Lucas, he was like, who the fuck is that guy? who's the dog guy? What are they in? Who is this? Who is this guy? And that's why George Lucas was like, they did it in Dune, but like that's why they started doing the scroll, the beginning scroll, because Francis Ford
Oh.
Coppola came in like a fucking fun burglar because he had too big of a stick up his ass to make a spaceship movie. So he was like, "What's that? Who the fuck is this guy? Why do I care about this? What is happening? What are these people? Like, you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
So, but the and they always say that's how they invented the scroll. But the other thing that they say is because, like, you know, he read books like Dune where they're just like, "This is the world you're in. You know, do it or don't do it. Like, whatever."
Right, which like I think is valuable. Like I honestly think that like if you really wanted to go into the deep, even when you read the books, they don't give you these things. Like they don't.
No.
They eventually will explain to you what a mentat is, or like why,
Yeah.
like how they're drinking phylactery so that they can, like, they're supposed to have blue lips, so because they're drinking phylactery, and that's what makes them into these things. But like at no point when they introduce what a mentat is do they explain all that shit to you. Herbert gets there eventually, but like if you're trying to make a Star Wars, which is like a spoon-fed Dune essentially,
Yes. Basically.
then yeah, you need a scroll, and you need some a little bit of like some sugar to make this whole thing go down a little easier.
Yeah, and that's why Star Wars was like the big step for people in large to get into like sci-fi.
Right.
And that's why the best sci-fi, like Dune and like Game of Thrones and stuff like that, is that when you're into sci-fi and fantasy to an extreme level, and you read these things, and people say something like Mentat or Jedi, and they don't explain it, you're reading that as a fan, going like, I can't wait to find out what that means. Not what the fuck does that mean? And that's the two different groups. So a lot of the times you're like, we need this group to make enough money to make a sequel and sell T-shirts.
Yeah.
But
which
sci-fi
is what the
people
MCU has figured out.
Yeah, so like the sci-fi fans know, like when they're reading something and words are just thrown at them, they don't go, they don't say like, well, I don't know what that means. They say, oh, I can't wait to find out what it means, because the context of how it's presented to you intrigues you. Like when they bring, like when the psychics come down and everything else, and you're just like, ooh, like that's gonna be fucking sick.
If you're picking up a 600-page book, a tome about horny space wizards, you are going to keep reading it to find out the answer.
You need to.
But if you're just some guy who's if you're just some guy who's going to a movie called Star Wars because you heard it was cool, you don't want to do any of that legwork, which I totally understand. Sometimes I want to just go see a movie and not think about it.
True.
I'm fine with that. Like Fast and Furious, I got no problem with those movies. You
Love
know what I'm saying? Like I don't go see them, but like I get it. Like let's just sit here for 90 minutes and not speak to each other. That I can fucking get down with.
Sometimes you want really good pizza, but if there's a fucking Domino's there, you're not going to not eat it. Like, it's garbage, but it's delicious garbage.
Yeah, there's a few things in the chat I want to bring up. My boy Red brought up, apparently back in the day they had to hand out vocab sheets for the 80s movie, which makes sense. I've only seen clips of that movie, and that's all I need to see.
Well, listen, aside from that, the movie's fucking brutally bad. So they should hand out a lot more. They should hand your money back is what they should have done.
And he said the witches do be really horny.
They do.
The 80s movie, if you don't care about Dune, has a lot of really fucking cool stuff in it. And I wish that there was some kind of following kind of narrative to like make it a good movie. But I loved that movie when I was a kid, and I don't know why. And I still think about that movie and shit I saw in that movie as thinking like, I remember being at that age that I saw it and thinking that was the coolest. Like I remember when they first show the baby sister come in and like address the people, and she's talking in her scary little girl voice, and I'm like,
he's doing it. He's spoiling it.
A little, yeah.
He's spoiling it, John. He's spoiling it.
This movie came out in the fucking 80s. All right. So
I mean, this book came out in the 50s.
Scene, but that scene is cool as fuck. And like there's other stuff in there that's cool as fuck. And you're kind of like, now that I like writing and I kind of like stories, I go, I wish this was not just cool things thrown at me, but it's definitely not. It's just
one thing that Frank Herbert fucking loves is babies who talk like adults.
It's fucked up.
That is so weird.
There's kind of a lot of it, honestly.
Wow. Guys, I guess I'm excited for that.
I don't know how they're gonna pull. We can't talk about it. Wait.
As long, oh, wait, okay.
Yeah, you're right, Sean. If that does happen, that's exciting.
Oh my god. There's another fun tidbit about this. So I know you talked about sound design, but also in addition to the sound design, the score for this movie is phenomenal. And Hans Zimmer actually turned down Tenet, which Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer are very close, and he turned down Tenet to do this movie, which I liked Tenet a lot, but definitely the right choice, for sure.
I haven't seen Tenet because I have a job and I don't know if I have the energy. So,
It's
but
it the I'll just say this: half of that movie is explaining the premise of the movie to you within the movie. Yeah.
I saw the
who are
best the best quote today was Robert Pattinson. He goes, "There was months at a time while filming Tenet where I had no idea what the fuck was going on."
I
That was
believe
from Robert Pattinson.
I
He
believe
said there
that.
was months at a time, filming
Especially
this
in his
movie
role,
where I
yeah.
had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Yep.
I'm like,
yeah,
all right.
Especially in his role, I understand that.
I really loved the sound design of this film. I will say that this is, in my opinion, Hans Zimmer's weakest score. Like, can we? I don't know what the just because I don't know what the answer is doesn't mean I can't still have a problem with something. Can we think of a better way to exhibit a desert people than just having people yelling over drums? Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
That's fair.
Every
That's fair.
where there's any sort of like desert-esque human, it's just like drumming and screaming, and I'm just like, all right, like we're just doing it again, I guess. Like
Yeah.
We're doing it, dude. We're
we're
doing it.
doing it again. Dune casting. The
Dune
most,
cast, baby.
I think, the best part, in my opinion, sound design wise, and just honestly, I think my favorite part of this whole film was when they went to the Sardaukar planet.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the Sardaukar, the blade of the
Emperor, yeah.
and they go to that planet, and it is so genuinely uncomfortable to witness, like them like blooding people and like
It looks insane.
harvesting blood from people, and the sound, like whatever that fucking noise was, like it literally like kind of fucked me up. Like I was like, that weird, he's like doing the Macarena for some reason. He's like getting him to stand and sit by doing the Macarena over and over again.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, just that. Oh God, I was like, this is fucking crazy. They don't go to that planet in the book at all, and I'm psyched that they put that in there.
That's cool. That's cool as fuck.
So I want now that this Sardaukar thing is I'm glad that you mentioned that they don't go there in the book, because I want to give my take on this movie as someone who has not read the books more than attempting to a few times and realizing I needed to commit to it. First of all, as a movie, film, blah blah blah, I thought this movie was cool. I enjoyed it. I'm excited that they got a sequel. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like there's so many scenes that I love like I don't know when I got into like directing, but apparently I do now. There's so many fucking scenes that like anyone could shoot a beautiful scene. There's lots of people that shoot things beautifully. Uh, Denis Villeneuve has this way of shooting things in a beautiful way that also kind of tells you something about what you're looking at. And that sounds like an oversimplification, but when the Lady Jessica, her cult of women, the witches,
The Bene Gesserit.
When they first come to the planet and they're coming off the ship, and you see it from the side, and the ship is open, it's very dark and everything else. You know that they're badasses, but you knew it from the way they spoke before. But when you see that shot from a distance and they're walking with the things, you get more of a vibe that was not just like, I'm shooting this to make them intimidating. That is a specific intimidating that once you see the scene with the box and the hand in the box and the thing, you said like, I kind of knew this kind of thing was coming just from that. And DV is just, he's so fucking good at it. Like the shit that he shoots, like you're watching this cool shit, you're that's awesome, and like, oh, and that thing, oh, let me pause it and look back and watch that shit again. Like all these, like it's just cool as fuck. And there's this subtle line of doing stuff that looks beautiful and doing stuff that looks cool as fuck in a reason to, as another kind of bit of the narrative that he just fucking seemingly effortlessly does. And it's just like when you first see the Baron, and the very first thing you see is like the wrinkles on his back and shit, and you're just like, he's like, it's not a sauna that he's in, but he looks like a fat Russian mobster in a sauna. Like that's the vibe you get right away. And from the first second you see it, that's the vibe you get, and that's pretty much who the fucking guy is in the fucking movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just like, you can shoot up at a guy and backlight him, and he's gonna look fucking scary. But you do it this way to tell you who this fucking guy is. And apparently, Dennis got the cheat sheet because his shit is fucking amazing. Like, it's just, everything was fucking beautiful. Even the way, like he was saying, like Ethan was saying about the sound design. Why do people in the desert gotta have drums and do the zenith fucking right? Anything that's shot in the desert is the same thing, the same color palette, the same. And while it was similar, it wasn't the same. It was a different. Right. There was a lot more white, high-end yellows as opposed to the red, orange. We're trying to make it look hot yellows, or you know what I mean?
It felt like you were trapped and you weren't. Like you were in the biggest. It gave you
like
this
you were drowning.
Feeling, right. It gave you this feeling that, like, I think that he was. I don't know. I don't want to attribute him to. I think he is a genius, but like Duke later. So you notice in the book that he is talked about like he's dead. Like for the first, I mean, I don't know if you've gotten this far, Sean, but like for the first like 200 to 300 pages, they talk about him like he's dead.
Yeah, they pretty much
and like he's already dead. Well, he doesn't even fucking make it to page fucking 200. But like, you know, they talk about him like he's already dead, but you're like, wait, is this dude fucking dead or is he alive or what are we doing here? Yeah. And like, you can't do that in a movie, which I understand, but instead, like they showed Arrakis in such a way, like DV filmed Arrakis in such a way that you felt trapped in this giant
it's
expanse.
massive.
And I thought that was interesting.
It was. It's like, it reminds me of like The Thing, when they were in the base out in the middle of the Antarctic. Like you know what I'm saying? Where like, even if you fucking get out of here, you're
fucked.
Like, you don't want to go out.
You're more fucked. Yeah, you're more fucked if you get out of here.
We're in the middle of fucking nowhere. That's it. So that being said, it's fucking gorgeous. I'm a mark for him anyway, so like I'm never gonna say anything bad.
Yeah.
I thought I had no problem with the fucking score until what Ethan just said kind of stuck me in the brain. I was like, yeah, he's right. That is kind of fucking lame.
Yeah, I didn't think of that until you said it, to be honest. Yeah.
So as someone who has not read the books, and I do like this movie, I have some fucking qualms with how he laid this movie out. Okay. Now I want to preface this. When you do Dune and you are already DV, you have a lot of fucking pressure to make this shit. Because I'm just looking at the books, and I know, I've read stuff. I know stuff that it's making it into one movie is fucking hard.
It's impossible.
So to what I understand, it's near fucking impossible.
It's impossible.
The guy fucking tried to do it.
David Lynch found out the hard way that you can't make this movie in one movie. It's impossible. It sucks.
Straight up.
So to me, to do that, you have to chop it up, and you have to make the things that do happen in that time happen. And I know he probably wanted to keep it loyal because he probably loved the fucking source material, and I fucking get it. But the way they laid this movie out, to me, was kind of fucking not the best way. So like all the shit that happened was really fucking cool. Like I thought the big fight on the fucking tarmac, I was like, this is fucking awesome. And the fucking the Sardaukar coming, oh, that's fucking awesome. But my thing is, you got Paul, all right, and then they're hyping up these Sardaukar, and they're hyping up these fucking Harkonnen, and then you have all these things happen. Like, okay, he finally uses the voice in the helicopter with the Harkonnen, big fucking moment. You have the Sardaukar fucking come, but then at the end, Paul, the fucking star, his big climax, his big thing is to defeat the guy in the fight.
From the Fremen,
to join the tribe, of course. And everybody knew that. And even me, I know he's ending up with the Fremen. Everybody know he's ending up with the Fremen.
Yeah.
As soon as I knew that he had to fight that guy, I was like, okay, so he's got to fight this guy to get in. At no point did I think that this guy was going to beat Paul. At no point. I saw him from the beginning. I wasn't scared of that guy at all. I didn't think he was intimidating. There was multiple times through this movie where they could have taken whoever they wanted to make him the last guy. Paul's last battle needs to be. I thought his stronger moment was using the voice. That to me, in the line of the story, made more of a climax than the actual fucking fight. So I'm just saying, like, you had the Sardaukar there, and then the big Sardaukar guy with the face tattoos, he dies by getting eaten by a fucking worm. Now, all these things I'm sure in the book are fucking important, but you can't lay this movie out the way you laid out the fucking book. I would have ended it with him fighting a Sardaukar for no reason, or using the voice for no, like, whatever reason, ending it there, or even coming out of the crash ship,
Yeah,
doing something. You could have started the next movie with him fighting to get into Fremen, and it would have been fine.
I think
in
it
a
was
movie,
more of,
in a movie context,
and
because at that point I had seen so many crazier things happen, so many crazier fights happen. They had fucking Batista in this fucking movie looking like an absolute psychotic fucking gangster, and I understand he doesn't do anything, so he doesn't show up. They could have had him show up and fight to a draw where the fight can't be ended. They could have, if you're gonna change things, change them to fucking, do you know what I mean? For me, I had already blown my load 3 times. Like, this is cool. Oh, look what he did. Oh, look what he did. Then at the end, I'm like, why is he fighting this fucking guy? Why am I scared of this fucking guy? It would have made more sense if he fought the dad to get it.
it's
To me,
this is
because that dad coming in the beginning when Jason Momoa is like, yeah, don't fuck with this guy. He just spit on you, but that's a compliment. Right up the thing, you know that guy is a fucking gangster. Like, I got that vibe from him immediately. He don't fight the dad, and I understand why. But if he did at the end, it would have tracked better in the story, and that would have been more impactful to me as a last fight than as this dude who's his friend from the garden. Especially with all the flashbacks that I know they're important. I know the flashbacks are important, but they were counter to the ending, so that just kind of made it confusing.
They kind of set it up, and I don't know how this part. So I'll let Ethan elaborate on how that part played out in the book, so we get more of a apples to apples comparison. But to me, and I kind of texted you about this a little bit after we both saw the movie, it was more of, it wasn't the fight that was the big moment, it was that he got in with the Fremen that was the big moment. And I get kind of everyone figured he would be in with the Fremen, but in the visions, he says in the beginning that they don't play out as he sees them. So he saw it as, oh, this is going to be the guy that trains me. This is the guy who leads me into the Fremen, but he is the guy who leads him in the Fremen because he has to kill him. And it's also a big moment because he's never killed anyone before. So it's his first kill too. So it's a little bit more than just like, oh, he fought this guy. It doesn't even matter who he's fighting, really. It's more of that he got in with the Fremen, and now that's what's going to set up the next parts of this movie, is that now he's a part of the Fremen to kind of, he is gaining the desert power his dad always was searching for.
Get it.
You know what I mean?
I get why. I know it had to happen. I know it's fucking cool. I just think we're like, they say, oh, the Fremen are generally badasses. They had multiple points up to this where Fremen jumped out of the dirt and were cool fucking desert ninjas.
Mm-hmm.
They could have taken any one of those and shown a recurring guy or something to make it so when this fight went, I was like, because I didn't think, I was just like, he's not this guy, like, he was too much of an asshole. Guys that are this big assholes don't win the fight against the good guy at the end. They could have did it where, like, they had to do so. I don't, and honestly, I don't know what they could have done. But
there was like a Zendaya kind of hyped him up too. You know, he was like, you don't want to fuck with this guy, pretty much. Zendaya was.
That's not enough at the end of a fucking 3-hour movie. It's not enough. I'm sorry.
Okay, so if you, all right, so if you're making Dune, right, and we all know that this is the hero's journey, right? This is the Luke Skywalker. This is Neo. This is Jesus, essentially. Like, this is literally
the
just
chosen
Jesus
one.
Christ's story.
The chosen
right.
one. Yeah.
So obviously Paul isn't going to die, right? So you're losing a massive amount of stakes right there. Like, you're boom right there. His last fight, he's not going to lose, because you literally see it when it comes up. It says Dune Part 1. So it's like, well, he's not going to die here, obviously. Right. But there is a way that they could have done that entire section in a different manner. They fit like 100 pages of character development into like a 10-minute scene, which I do agree sucked. The reason that I thought that it sucked, though, was because I'm sitting there for 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm sitting there because I love Dune, right? Because I want to watch horny space wizards. That's why I'm there.
The chosen one with anxiety. Yes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The hot topic employee that is the chosen one. Like, I don't need. Okay, so this movie was 2 hours and 38 minutes long.
Mhm.
Okay, front to back. Why wouldn't you make the movie 3 hours long and tell me that story better so that I give a fuck? Because I agree, I didn't give a fuck. Like, I knew he was going to be Jameis. Obviously, I knew he
That's
was going
it.
to, because I read the fucking book. But like, he's not, they're not exhibiting. And this was also a failure in storytelling. So, Joey, to your point, like,
I like the movie. I want to make it clear that I'm like,
Oh
I
yeah,
hate this
yeah.
fucking
No, no,
movie.
no. I
And
know,
want
I
to make,
know.
I don't give a
I
shit.
feel
No,
that
listen.
in the context of 2-3 movies, that scene is going to bother me less. I really do feel that way.
I don't give
Probably.
a shit if people think I like this movie or not. They can all suck it. They can people fucking comment on the fucking metalcore nerds thing. But
I mean, we know you
I
like this movie, so it's fine.
obviously, but listen, I'm gonna rip it apart if I want.
You can. That's why I brought you on
Right?
here.
So
You know.
okay, so there isn't enough Leto. There isn't enough Liette Keynes.
I
There
will
isn't
agree
enough
with
fucking
Leto
Duncan,
for sure.
Idaho to make it different. There isn't enough fucking there isn't enough Stilgar. There isn't enough of any of these characters, right? Because he is he can't make a giant. This movie is so vast that they're
Yeah.
cutting out extremely important sections of the book. I mean, like, you have no concept of what the Imperium is, of
Nope.
what the Space Guild is. You have no fucking clue. And that's fine, because realistically, you don't really need those things. If you really want them, go read the fucking Bible, right? Go read the 800-page tome and you'll figure it out. But
Yeah.
like, don't give you Liette Keynes in the book, and I don't want to be this guy, but like, Liette Keynes in the book is a man, but if
Whatever.
the
Yeah.
woman
Who
is,
cares? Yeah.
Does nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it doesn't matter at all. But he, like, in the book, he is like, he is Paul before Paul to the Fremen. He is who,
Yes.
because Paul overtakes Liette Keynes, they start being like, yo, this kid might be Modib. And we lose all of that, right? So the only thing you can do is make that last fight matter. And it ties in with that we don't get enough Leto. They cut the dinner scene out of the entire fucking movie, right? There's no dinner scene where Leto, makes everybody feel bad for being water fat. There's none of that. Like, you don't really get the gauge of
Even
who
with
Leto is.
even when they rescue the spice miner thing, there's like a whole thing where
Right.
the workers get pissed about losing it. Of course, they're like
But
super upset, and he even goes, "Hey, don't worry, you guys are gonna still get paid, and blah blah blah. Like, I'll take care of you." And then there's like there's a whole like water ravine outside the castle or something that they're like, "Oh, we're going to," and there was like this whole I just got to the dinner part, and there was like a whole thing where they used like they like absurdly use water for no reason, and he's like, it's tradition. Someone's like, a tradition, and he's like, well, we're not going to do that because it's like, it's fucking stupid and it's wasteful, and like, why would we do that? Yeah, they definitely cut a lot of they definitely cut a lot of I mean, plus it's Oscar Isaac. The dude is fucking incredible. I wish we got more of him too. I completely agree there.
But I will defend them in the fact that by casting Oscar Isaac, you get how decent of a human he is, because
sure.
Oscar Isaac show you that just by showing you it in very little amounts. This movie is a lot, and this is going to sound like a fanboy comment, but it's so much in the looks and the acting without speaking. Like, the way that Jessica looks at Paul.
She loves him. Like,
straight up.
I noticed that too. She looks at him in a way that, like, romance movies people look, like, you could tell that, like,
because she sees Leto in him, and that's all Leto ever wanted was a son. But then by the end of the movie, she gives him these looks where she loves him, but she's fucking terrified of him.
Yeah.
In the book, they tell you explicitly that she is very scared of Paul because he is becoming the Quetzalcoatl Haderach, and he's not supposed to be that. But we're not going to get into the fucking minutia details of what the Bene Gesserit are doing, but like, they are basically making Neo. Yes. And then when they make a Neo, they're like, whoa, like, this is too soon, or like, we can't be doing this. So Jessica is exhibiting that behavior just by her looks, and those little things make it okay that they're not giving you a ton of Jessica, a ton of Leto, a ton of Duncan, Idaho, all these other people. But the last scene is brutally short, and whoever was the person who did the fighting, any of the choreography for the fighting is so low impact in this film. It honestly bothers me every time I watch it. Like, even the one of the best parts, in my opinion, is when Jesus Christ, there's so many fucking names here. But when Josh Brolin's character,
Oh,
he
Gurney,
runs
right?
out, and Gurney Halleck is he's the weapons master of the Atreides
Yep.
house, right? So he leads the troops. He goes out, Harkonnens are attacking, and he runs out, and then he kills a couple guys, and he's like, "On me!" Does that whole thing, and then you're like, "Yeah, this fucking dude rules!" Like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But that fight that he's in is boring. You're like, this dude just is this a bar fight? Like, what are we talking about? Like, Duncan Idaho is supposed to be the most deadly man in the universe, and you get the idea because he's killing people, but at the same time, it's it's so low impact that you're like, I don't care about this. And it all translates, all of those little things translate, and they ruin the last scene, just like Joey's saying. Like, make the fucking movie 3 hours and 10 minutes. I'm already here. I already paid. That's what I'm doing here. Just make the movie longer and show it, because that fight isn't supposed to happen until they reach the home of the Fremen. You're supposed to be wowed by the vastness of the
Oh.
Empire, and then they do the fight, and he kills him, and then, fuck you, spoiler a little bit.
That's fine.
Like, they go to his funeral, right? And they harvest water from his body, because that's what the Fremen do.
Yeah.
And when you kill a person, you get their water.
Yeah,
And
either they brought that up or I read that in the book. I can't remember. I can't differentiate. Okay, they bring it up. Right. Okay.
So Paul cries, and to the Fremen, him expelling his water on behalf of one of them is like the fucking end all be all, because they don't cry, because they don't waste water at all. So that little detail is you could develop Paul's character and his relationship to the Fremen if you add 30 minutes to this movie. And I know that's crazy to say, to add 30 minutes to a 2 hour and 38-minute movie, but we're already fucking sitting here. What the fuck difference?
So Ethan, I want your opinion on this. And this is not like me saying I'm a better writer than the guy who wrote this movie. I'm not saying I could direct it better than my favorite director. I'm saying that, to me, in my how I would have laid this out was, so the Emperor, this is what they said to me, at least how I took it. The Emperor was jealous of the Duke Atreides, so he sent them to Arrakis, took the Harkonnen out so that they could come back and kill them. That makes no fucking sense to me. How I would have done, and I'm not saying this because I'm saying it's better. I'm saying how instinctually I would have wrote this. I'm saying Harkonnen are mad that that Atreides is on Arrakis. They decide they're going to come wipe them out. The Emperor hears about it. He gets the news of it, and then goes, just let it happen. Like that kind of thing. That tracks better for me. Then as it goes on, I have the scene with them in the chopper after the big battle. I have them in the scene in the helicopter, in the mosquito bug, where he does the voice. And the sandstorm, I overlay those together. That's the end of the fucking movie, because him doing the voice was the big thing that they built to from the very fucking first scene. True. I start the next movie, the mom and Paul in the desert alone post crash. That's how I started, going through the desert as a slog, trying to survive. The Fremen are watching them, trying to figure out, do we help them? Do we not help them? I don't know. There's little whatever going on. End all be all, they find the fucking city, and this is just the beginning for me, how I would start the next movie. That's when the fight happens. That's why this guy is like, well, I don't want, that's why this guy wants to fucking kill this guy, because you brought this fucking war here. You brought this shit here. You're no different from them, yada, yada. That makes more sense to me. That's where the fight happens. And then if they do the fucking thing with the crying, that makes even more fucking sense at that point. Like, yo, I'm glad we saved this fucking idiot. You know what I'm saying? Because at the time when they show that fight, I'd already seen too much fucking cool shit to come at me with a mid-ass fucking. It was just, you have to contextualize it for me, because
the moment
this isn't for book.
Yeah.
this isn't for book loyalists. This movie, it cannot be for book loyalists.
No, it
because
can't.
it's not
Yeah.
a series. It's not a series. It's a movie. It can't be for that. There's things, and I know that he probably DV probably was very serious. Like, I want to show that I respect the source material, and I fucking get it. And I think that I just think that if he would have laid it out that way, or just something with the same kind of impact, this movie would have been perfect. Because
Yeah.
I think, in spite of those things that I think storytelling wise were fucking big ass fucking fumbles, I still think this movie was fucking killer. And
Oh, yeah.
not like I like Dune 80s, that I just thought it was a spectacle. That's how I look at the 80s Dune, as a fucking spectacle that I just thought, this is fucking crazy, especially considering
time,
when I saw it, I was a fucking kid when I saw that shit.
Yeah.
And all I knew was Star Wars. So to get that, then I was like,
Yeah.
maybe it's like Star Wars, and then get screaming child with blue eyes, you know. So that, to me, but I do think that when the second movie comes out, and when,
it'll
Lord of
make
the
everything
Rings,
else. Yeah. Yeah.
it'll smooth out the rough edges, because in the context of the great thing, I know what's coming, and I know there's more stuff coming. I just think I get why it just didn't do it. It just didn't do what it should.
It is truly half a movie.
Oh,
There's no tears
yeah.
left. Because
Yeah.
when you get another one, right, that thing won't feel so stoppy. It won't feel
Right.
so like you're hitting a brick wall. Like I in a way I kind of agree with you in the way that, like, it would have been better. I liked them wandering because it was very Lawrence of Arabia. It had this like feel like they were
Yeah.
stretching it way out, which is all Lawrence of Arabia is really. Is just people walking in fucking deserts. And like, you're stretching it out, you're getting this feel. And then if the last scene was him seeing the fucking worm, right? Like, the worm comes
Yeah, that would have been
down,
cool too.
folds up, looks at him, and then it's like,
It's like credits.
Get the fuck out of the fuck out of Dodge. Right. He can kill Jameis in the next flick. Who gives a fuck how long that takes? Like, whatever. Like, you can do the whole shebang.
Yeah, like, okay, so he's standing there, the worm comes up, he's standing in front of the worm, wide shot, back of Paul, pan the camera around, now he's got all the Fremen standing behind him, and the fucking movie right there.
That would have been cool, actually. That would have been really cool. There was one thing that didn't hit for me, like how you're talking about how the ending hit, and I can see your perspective 100%. I think the thing that didn't hit for me the biggest was I wanted to be more sad when Duncan Idaho died. Like, obviously, dude killed a handful of the deadliest fucking warriors in the galaxy, which is like big dick shit.
Which you don't even get because who the fuck knows? Like, everyone's
That's what I'm
killing each other.
saying.
But I wanted to feel more. They didn't do enough building their relationship enough to where I was like, I'm really sad that he sacrificed himself.
That's what I'm saying. You're getting nothing. You're not getting there's like this detail that you're missing because like we're going through, and sign off if you don't fucking like it. But like that moment where he shows that eye contact with Paul is arguably the most important part of the entire fucking sextology. Like, it reverberates through every book. Right? That moment when he makes eye contact with Duncan. So for them to just like kind of, I mean, maybe you need context for it to mean more. I felt like he acted it as well as he could have acted it. And that, like, little hand.
100%.
You know what they needed? They needed a scene. They needed a scene where Paul and Gurney doing the training session. I understand why that was important. It was cool as fuck. Yep. They needed a parallel to that.
Which they only really had a few conversations, really, and that's it. Like, he told him about how he's seeing visions. He talked about how he saw him die, and he's like, I need to be there so you don't die. And that kind of gave me a little bit more weight to the situation, but kind of what Joey was saying, now he's frozen. Now what the fuck's going on with him? But more to that, where it's like they could have used a scene like that. And there's Ethan, I wanted to bring up this up to you because you've read the book, but a scene I'm super shocked they took out was the scene between Lady Jessica and the doctor, of them talking. Because and there's another thing we haven't really brought up either, is that a lot of the book is internal dialogue, which they do none of in the movie, which they couldn't really. It would have been fucking weird as shit. But like, more than normal books, probably it's like 70% internal dialogue. There's like a fuck ton of internal dialogue.
Yeah.
And like you said, they do a good job of like acting emotions, so you don't need that.
Right.
But I'm
They
shocked they took out that
very
scene in
much.
particular.
Yeah, there are certain scenes where, I mean, like a little bit of explanation as to um that scene, for example, or like, I felt like Baron Harkonnen, he had like he had a certain feel, and I appreciated what they did with him. I thought they did a great job, but
Yeah.
he didn't really get a lot of time. Like, you understood that he was someone to be reckoned with, but you didn't get him at his filthiest, at his worst. Like, he's very much a quiet, evil character, but he's obviously very. I think they did their best with him, but
Mm-hmm.
when you read the book, spoiler, lots of blood drinking from Baron Harkonnen in the books. You know what I'm saying? Lots of like weird shit. But
yeah, I heard
he
another part of
isn't.
his stuff that I definitely understand why they didn't include it.
Yeah,
I can understand why that wasn't.
yeah. Read the book to find out why. I'm not going to talk about that.
Nope.
But they cut all that out. I don't know that. I don't know that they should have completely gotten rid of those parts. I think that like alluding to it would have made more sense because it is part of who he is and what he does. I mean, in the book, he wants Paul for a very specific reason. There isn't in this movie. He's kind of just like he just kind of brushes over Paul.
Yeah.
I will speak to. I want to speak to a point that Joey made where he was like, "I would have done this or I would have done that." I totally understand why he would say that, but Frank, there he is.
Oh, he's
yeah,
back.
Sorry.
Hi.
Like Frank
Power went out.
Herbert wrote these things in very certain ways so that I'm not defending him because he is what he is, but like he is telling a story in the long run. Like, there are all these different things that he's going to get to eventually. He uses characters in different ways. So like when, they needed Harkonnen needed the Blade of the Emperor. He needed the Sardaukar because Harkonnen just lost a war to the Atreides. And so he needed the help. So the Emperor has to be involved. And the reason that he does what he does to Duke Leto is in the book a little bit better explained, but he needs Harkonnen had just lost a war to the Atreides, literally just lost a war. So if the Sardaukar hadn't helped him, they wouldn't have won. So like, but that to me speaks to my next question, which is, Sean, you saw it with Sam, who is your manager / wife.
Yes.
In that order.
Yes.
And
definitely in that order.
Did she? I know, Joey, you haven't read the books. Like, between you and Sam, did you guys feel confused by the beginning of the book or by the beginning of the film and how it just kind of glanced over why the fuck any of this is happening? Like, I felt like they just skipped it.
So that's what I was saying. Like, I would be like, okay, well, the if they said the Harkonnen are coming back to wipe them out just because they're mad because of what happened, that makes sense. They showed them as irrational psychopaths. But they say it was like, well, the Emperor is jealous. But then the plan was pull Harkonnen out, put Atreides in, so that the Atreides will come, so the Harkonnen will come back to kill the fucking Atreides because the Emperor's allowing it. It doesn't make any sense. That's too around the fucking way. That's why I said, like, okay, the Emperor heard about it and just kind of just turned a blind eye, act like he didn't hear about it, because it didn't make any fucking sense. It's like the simpler thing made more sense, that they wanted their desert back.
You're getting a half of a movie, so eventually, like, you'll find out certain aspects of it. But like, the Emperor has a vested interest in the outcome of Arrakis, and he is scared of Leto because they kind of make it seem like they're worried about House Atreides like taking power,
You're
which
becoming
they
too powerful.
More than anything, but more than anything, and by cutting Duke Leto as much as they do, Sean, like all those things, like the dinner scene and all these other things, he is lawful good. Like, no matter what, he does the right thing, whether
Yep.
it kills him or not, which it literally does, right?
I don't think they did a bad job of showing. I think that Oscar Isaac and the little bit that he had, I was left wanting more. I
Yeah.
got who his dad was, and I got
True.
why Paul is kind of like, I gotta be like this fucking guy. Like,
Yeah, I gotta
Right.
live up to this good fucker.
The Emperor is he's neutral evil, really. Like he has his fingers in Arrakis, and he is afraid of Leto because Leto is so decent that he's like, he's gonna fuck my spice trade up. That's what this all comes down to. That's
but
why
I think
this
they
all
should have.
happened.
So, but that I think it was easy enough to explain the Emperor going like, we had to send the Atreides there. They won the war. We had to do something. But I'm not stoked on it.
Which he literally decides. Like their war in the book is, I mean, Sean, you've got his part. They're sanctioned. The wars are sanctioned,
Yeah.
and then the Emperor steps in at a point, and he's like, "Hey, you lose. Like you lost." And the reason that he lost is fucking irrelevant. But he stepped in and was like, "Hey, Harkonnen, you fucking lost." And they were like, "Fine." And then he was like, "This is what I'm gonna do. You get Arrakis. You fuck off. Boom, bada bing, bada boom." And then that's where you come into the story where they're moving into Arrakis because they won a war that was state sanctioned. So it only makes sense. They could have explained this. They could have explained this with 3 lines of dialogue from Harkonnen.
They should have did a scroll.
They should have. They could have used a scroll.
They could have done a scroll.
Yeah, it's like I kind of get why they moved him to Arrakis, because even as you see is like when he's trying to set up and take over the reins of the spice trade and everything, they took like fucking everything. They left them totally unmanned, you know, unequipped, everything like that. They're like, they set them up to fail 100%. So it's like, I don't know if
I'm sorry, was it unequipped that they left them?
Ill-equipped, whatever, man. Fuck off.
Is that a Fremen word? I don't know.
It's a Fremen word, yes. Maybe if you were one with the Fremen, you would understand.
Could you get my still suit unequipped? I can't reach behind my back.
Well, if you were like me and the chosen one, you wouldn't need. I made the adjustments automatically, so.
Fucking balls for Francis Ford Coppola to fucking tell George Lucas he needs a scroll right after he made a 3.5-hour fucking epic about some weirdo in a fucking Cambodian desert. Like, get out of my fucking face, Ford Coppola.
That's fair.
You're out of your fucking mind, dude.
That's like, so fair.
Also, you produce literally from your loins one of the worst directors in human history. So Francis Ford Coppola can't direct she couldn't direct a fucking commercial. That woman can't fucking direct. She sucks. If Marie Antoinette sucks, fucking the Virgin Suicides were fine. But like, dude, she's made some trash. Lost in Translation's about nothing. Bill Murray's just a pleasure. That's not her.
Yeah. Honestly, Lost in Translation is Scarlett Johansson. I could take her or leave her, but her and Bill Murray together in that movie were fucking fantastic, and that's the only thing I really gave a shit about, because I couldn't tell you what the fuck that movie was about other than Japan. White people in Japan.
There's literally like there's a dynamic. The only thing that makes that movie make any sense is the fact that they have this like very odd tension that you like can't turn away from.
Yeah,
and that's literally
the whole movie.
She had a different casting director, that whole movie would have been fucking pointless. That fucking movie to save her life.
Oh,
dude, the third Godfather. I mean, you know, listen.
We don't speak of it.
I don't. As an Italian, Joey is.
As an Italian,
he's very triggered.
That did not happen.
He's very triggered.
We don't talk about the cousin fucking prequel or sequel.
It's a myth, like the Mafia. It doesn't exist.
Oh my God!
Godfather 2, best movie ever made. Godfather 3.
What are you talking about?
Barely a movie.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So listen, this is what I was trying to say before I forgot that I just came around the bend to. The scene with Gurney training Paul, which was a great fucking scene and important.
Yeah.
They needed to have a parallel to that
with Duncan,
Idaho,
yeah.
Showed you the big brother little brother relationship to give you the differences, and then at the end they needed to because at no point did I think Jessica and Paul and Lita. I didn't think those starter car were getting through that fucking gate at any point. No one thought that, not at all. But if that gate had stayed open and Duncan did that fucking fight, okay, and then So if that door had stayed open while that fight with Duncan was taking place, and then they had already had a scene that showed why Paul and Duncan were so close, that changes the entire trajectory of everything else that fucking happens after that and makes it way more fucking impactful, especially now that I know where that eye contact is so important going through the movie. Because now Paul is like, all right, I got my dad who was fucking incredible, and I've got Gurney who's fucking incredible, and I got Duncan Idaho who's fucking incredible. Who am I gonna be as fucking Sand Messiah? Like who's my dude? Like who's the fucking guy that I'm gonna be? I have all these fucking great fucking role models, and I'm like a skinny fucking emo nerd. Like, what am I gonna do? Also, it turns out that I'm a psychic. Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
I
they,
found out
I,
I can make people do stuff. So, like, there's just little things that they didn't do, like leaving a door open instead of closed. That changes that entire fight. That fight, which was just the fucking, what is it, the breakout where the guy fights down a hallway. They
yeah.
keep doing it, and it keeps being awesome. The door closed, it's mid. The door open is a different fucking thing. It changes the entire fucking momentum of that fucking fight.
Yeah, while you were
You don't think that Duncan's losing that fucking fight. Duncan's winning that fight because you
No.
know timing wise. But with that fucking door open, it's a real fucking problem.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's just little fucking choices that DV usually crushes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I when you were disappeared from the internet, I went and said, like, they had those two scenes where they were like more like conversations with Duncan Idaho, but I really wish they got like a scene like the training scene, or even this scene is not in the book. Paul isn't even there when they rescue the workers from the spice mining fucking rig. He's not even there. So even that moment with him he's literally hanging the fuck out. So
no, Daddy, I'm fine.
Yeah, so him having that like vision and Gurney saving him was like another moment that like another big ass moment that would have been cooler if it was Duncan, but like obviously Duncan was doing the shit with the Fremen and shit like that, so like it made sense he wasn't there. But if we had like one scene even like that with Duncan, it would have made that death more impactful, because I think that's my biggest gripe of the movie. The ending doesn't really bother me as much as it does you, but I mean, not many things bother me unless it's carnage.
The reason why it bothers me is because everything in that movie is so fucking cool.
That's fair.
It was so cool up to that. That was like only that was an 8 cool out of the fucking 9 steady cool that had happened.
Right.
To that point, I'm just like, come on. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
I said, I get it.
I agree. I think that if we really go back and watch it, you know, when you get a chance to watch it again or whatever, you realize that in reality you get about maybe 5 to 10 minutes with every single person. Like if that, right? If you're lucky, you get 5 to 10 minutes, because there's so many characters, there's so much going on. You get a very, very small amount. And of course, everything has to revolve around Paul, because he is unequivocally the most important character, right?
100%.
So, like, you have to pick and choose these things, which is why I think that you add, and this is fucking crazy, but you add
half an hour,
Yeah, listen, it wasn't the timing. There wasn't the time that bothered me about this movie at all. I would have sat for 3 movies of this fucking movie.
Yeah,
it was
easily.
Just how it panned out. And I'll tell you another thing. That scene with fucking Momoa flying the mosquito through that last bit and showing that he's a fucking gangster ass
was
pilot,
dope.
That was cool as shit.
Yeah.
If they would have cut that in half and put that Momoa time somewhere else to that last fucking scene, and listen, I have the fucking privilege of seeing something someone else made, and
right.
The reason it's not
that's why we're sitting
here. That is why we're sitting here.
I'm propulsed to rage by other movies sucking. I'm propulsed to disappointment because this movie was so fucking good. I love this fucking movie.
I am unequivocally more intelligent than George Lucas, so I am owning anything.
I don't know, Ethan. He wrote the best line of all time in cinematic history of "I don't like sand." I mean, it's good. That's good shit, dude.
I thought you were gonna give him "I love you, I know," which I was gonna be like, Harrison Ford's fucking ass made that part.
Yeah, straight up.
So hard.
I have to say,
making that movie.
I hate that fucking line only because Sam and I go to Disney a lot, and every fucking couple has an "I love you and I know" shirt, and it makes me want to die. actually die.
I wonder what it's like to live on the other side of the fucking tracks because I've never been to fucking Disneyland. What about you, Joe? You ever been to fucking Disneyland?
I did when I was a kid. I have not
I'll
been
see.
to Star
You'll
Wars.
have
I'll see you guys later.
to let me know. Yeah, you have to let me know what that's like. Yeah, you have to know that.
And I'm
like,
and
I'm
I'm and I'm pissy about it. I won't lie. I am pissy that I haven't been to Star Wars World. But,
Star Wars World is dope.
I'm gonna buy a fucking wand, and guess what? When I go to Harry Potter World, I'm gonna actually fucking remember it because when you bring your kid there, they don't remember shit.
Oh yeah, I would never. Sam and I have talked
But-
about this all the time. If we had kids, we would never bring a fucking kid there. It's
No,
pointless. It's
fuck that.
pointless.
Until they're 9.
Yeah,
don't
until
remember
they're
shit.
like, people bring babies, and I'm like, what the fuck are you
Oh.
doing? What are you doing?
Baby,
Stop it!
baby.
they're trying to make their kid be like they went like, look, we had you at Star Wars World when you were 8 months old. It's
Cool.
not the baby.
Sick. I was born in fucking
Show their
Hawaii.
fucking Instagram friends.
I was born in Hawaii, and we moved
haven't
when I was
even-
6 months
yeah.
old. I don't remember any of it. Me saying I was born in
They
Hawaii is
haven't
pointless.
fully-
You know,
they
it's
haven't
dumb.
even fully gestated. You know, they haven't even fully gestated at that point. I'm not allowing them to cost me thousands of dollars. If your skull isn't one full piece, you're not
Yeah.
going to fucking Disney World. All right.
Yeah, dude.
That's a pretty simple fucking metric.
100%.
But anyway, back to Dune. Baron Harkonnen is sick in this movie. I actually really liked him a lot better than the David fucking Lynch.
Isn't he
I
like-
don't
yeah.
like David Lynch, but
Yeah.
he's like kind of a spectacle in that movie, whereas in this one he's like this quiet, fucking like dangerous creature, which I
Right.
liked. I'm a little sad
yeah,
that
from
I'm a
second
little sad
one.
that Petra died.
Yeah, I was bummed. We got like 0% of David Dastmalchian, who is amazing. So I was
Petra's
like,
supposed to be
I was like-
creature too. He's supposed to be like a real
there's
deal.
there's a whole scene with him that they cut out too. Well, I think they kind of replaced it. They replaced it with the Batista scene, I guess maybe. But there's like a lot. There's a whole chapter dedicated to his character, talking with
He's
the
also
Baron and
supposed
shit.
they're supposed to bring Paul and Jessica to Petter. And
Oh
they're supposed to
yes,
decide
yes,
with them.
I remember
But
that.
I get it. Cut that shit out because they eventually end up in the fucking desert anyway. So why the fuck are we even bothering with that whole thing?
Right.
But I think a little bit, Joey, to your point, is that the prescience, which is like the him having visions and shit, right? That shit doesn't happen in the book. He doesn't have prescience.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say,
he
like,
does eventually.
I'm 300
but,
some
like,
pages in, and I'm like, I have seen no visions.
Yeah, which is just him seeing, and I know what the mouse is. So for me,
Yeah.
Him seeing the little mouse here and there, that was enough for enough kind of mental stuff for me
Yeah.
to get like, okay, he's got something going on. And then with the Benny Jesuit and the putting the hand in the box, that was it. Like, you know what? I get it. But like, if there was none of that in the book, we didn't need it in the fucking movie, especially when it cut the fucking balls off that last fight. And I keep coming back to that last fight because it just
It's true.
fucking irks the shit out of me again
true. It's the
because I
worst.
like this fucking movie. I really fucking liked it.
Oh.
And honestly, if I had just seen the scene with the fight, I might have been like, this was cool as shit. But it's just like in the fucking at how to digest it. Like here's the fucking thing. Everybody, it seems like a fucking shocking thing to say. When you're writing something, you write backwards. You write the story, you find the parts that are supposed to be important, and then you write those backwards to make sure they're fucking important.
Mhm.
And they didn't do it. They didn't fucking do it. Because that last death scene of Jason Momoa could have been fucking incredible. Fucking Lita, like that scene with like Lieta and the Harkonnen guy getting eaten by the worm, that was fucking stupid. It was stupid.
Yeah.
And it didn't do anything. And you get this fucking the Viking guy, like they jacked him up, and I'm like, oh man, he's gonna fight fucking Jason Momoa, or he's gonna fight fucking Gurney, or maybe he'll fight Paul. Either three of those fights would have been scary because in the fucking blink of an eye that they showed that guy up to that point, that guy was a fucking scary guy. And it's the same thing with Harkonnen, like Ethan was just saying. And that's what I was saying before, like the sauna thing. The second you saw his wrinkled ass on that bench, you're like, this guy's a real fucking problem. You didn't say a word.
Nope.
You just saw that fucking guy and went, this guy scares the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how you
Yeah.
fucking do it. Like,
I mean, if you're gonna take time to go to the Sardaukars, you're gonna go to Seleucia Secundus, right? Which is their desert. I mean, their prison planet, right? You're gonna go there, and then you're gonna show this guy, and he's gonna say, like those who stand against us fall, which is hard. Like
very hard.
Very hard.
fucking
Right.
hard.
I'm gonna sample that in front of a breakdown for sure.
yes, absolutely. Like it's 2006.
Yep.
You're not gonna have him take his helmet off before he kills Duncan Idaho because he was definitely in that fucking hallway. Like he was definitely in the hallway, or he was the guy who killed Liet Keynes. Like I agree with you. There are little choices that you can make that make the moments have a little bit more weight, because in the books they have a ton of weight because it's 600 fucking pages. So by the time you're done reading it, you're like, holy hell, I'm exhausted by how important that was. Whereas in the movie, they're like, all right, let's go.
Moving
We
on.
only got two and a half.
And this,
Like,
and
let's fucking
it's
move
like
it.
you're saying, there was enough stuff put into other stuff that all of the scenes that they had could have been cooler. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like when Lieta kind of puts the thumper down to suicide herself by worm with the guy, like that's a cool way to fucking kill yourself.
Yeah.
That could have been way fucking cooler. And like I was saying before, okay, I'm gonna go back to this fucking hallway because I fucking hyper focus on things. That hallway, that fight, the door is open. Homeboy takes the helmet off at his Viking man, and that's the fucking fight he has to do to keep them. Stopping someone from going through a solid concrete fucking door is like, man, stopping those guys from going through an open door, that's a fucking problem. That's a fucking fight where you're like, he has to win this fight. He has to stop everyone from going past him. That's another layer that is easily fucking accomplished for a character that you've established already as a fucking gangster who gets eaten by a fucking worm for a character who I don't give a fuck about.
My final note that I have written down. Obviously, we don't have to, stop screaming about this, but the Fremen are so weak in this movie. They are so weak, and that is an issue.
I just think they don't. They haven't shown enough.
That is a
I think.
story.
Yeah.
That is a story issue. We are having an issue now with the story because eventually, again, turn it off if you don't know shit. Like, eventually, the Fremen can kill 100 Sardaukar if there are only 15 of them. That's the math that they do. They're like, 15 Fremen can kill a whole fucking group of Sardaukar at 100 strong. And to not exhibit that is going to cost them later, because suddenly you're going to watch some shit happen that I know is coming that they're not going to skip. And you're going to be like, how the fuck is this happening? Like, what do you mean? Like, suddenly these people are just like the strongest people in the universe, but they are the strongest people in the universe, but they didn't do a good job of showing that.
They showed in that one flashback scene they show in the beginning where the Fremen just jump out of the fucking sand and start fighting.
Yeah.
I was like, these guys are cool as shit. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, if you live in the sand and you can like sand shark it and jump out and be like, haha, I'm a ninja, you're dead. Like, that's cool as fuck. You know?
Yeah.
And like when it came time, like, but the thing is, in the context of thought, showing that in a flashback and showing it happen in real time, the impact, whether you noticed it or not, is a different fucking thing. Because they showed the flashback in the Harkonnen, when they killed the Harkonnen in the flashback, it was cool. But now that Paul's running away and the war's going down, you show it a little bit.
I mean, they're showing you the prescience so they don't have to show it to you later. That's what that is. That scene will never come back. You'll never see that fight.
Or
that
if it does happen, it'll happen very differently. Like how he's set up.
I'm just saying, to Ethan's point, the impact of the Fremen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As fighters, which because in the beginning you're supposed to be like, well, Duncan Idaho's our best fighter and he's back, and he goes, I've lived with them and they are tough. That's not enough.
Right.
That's not enough.
I totally agree.
Duncan Idaho wasn't tough enough at that point. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they
all fought exactly the same. So it's like, what the fuck difference does any of that make if everyone is the same person? Like the Sardaukar and the Atreides, because it's supposed to go like Harkonnen, Atreides, Sardaukar, Fremen. Duncan Idaho is somewhere between Sardaukar and Fremen, right?
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be going, but you don't get any of that. I mean, I think that him trying to pack as much as he had to pack into a 2.5 hour film,
it's a lot.
You lost a little bit of it. Again, I think that you're going to get, I mean, there's some weirdness in the next part. I mean, the next movie too, they've got a big fucking, I mean, because you've watched the 80s version, but like they've got a big story arc to climb, because there's a circumstance in the next part of the next half of this story that like I don't know how they're in film. I really don't. So DD's got some
Interesting.
shit he's got to figure out here.
Interesting. So,
my hope is he sees this, he watches the movie back for himself and goes, this was still successful, but now I know what I got to do. Now I understand. Because honestly, I'm a big fan. I watch a lot of his fucking shit, and the guy can fucking do it.
Dude doesn't
You know
miss.
Makes a great,
But
the man can make a movie.
He also has a fucking way of making movies that like it's like you get distracted because you're looking at everything.
Yeah,
so he's got that going for it too. I think it's
dude
more
made
likely
Sand look interesting somehow.
I think it's more likely than not this second movie comes out, and I'm just like, it's gonna come fucking streamlined. The big shit that you need, the shit. So this is what I understand of Dune, and before this I've read the wiki, I've read short stories, I've read bits and things like this. The shit that you need is the most important shit, and that seems to me to be the coolest shit. There's a lot of other shit that's super cool that you don't need to have right away. And I think this guy's supposed to be awesome. You make a guy awesome because he's the star, or you're gonna kill him and you want his death to help the star, or you want him to be the best villain. That's why you do it. That's just what it is. That's across the board for everything. That's why you kill fucking Ned Stark at the end of season 1, because it sets everything fucking off. No one saw that death coming unless you read the books. I don't care what the fuck you say.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
When that happened, I was like, what the fuck? I thought it was a dream sequence. Like, I literally thought it was a dream sequence.
You make a dude awesome because you want to be scared of him, or you want his death to fucking matter.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Ethan, I didn't even answer your question when you asked about how Sam and I thought about the whole thing. We didn't go into detail about fully if we were confused by things, because I know we saw it with Ava, who lives with us. You've obviously met Ava, and she was like, yeah, a lot of stuff definitely kind of I didn't understand, or because if a lot of the words they say, again, they don't fucking explain it. So when they say fucking Bene Gesserit and Sardaukar and fucking Muad'Dib and shit like that, they're like, what the fuck is all this shit? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a lot to take in, but she didn't seem confused about it because she just seemed enthralled by it. And I think I was the same way. And that's why the ending didn't like fully piss me off the way it did you, which again, it's fine. I'm not saying don't be pissed off by the ending. It's fine. Like, I don't care. But
I'm not pissed.
I know you're disappointed. You're disappointed. Yeah.
Because you know
Dennis,
that I get mad. I get mad.
Dennis, I'm not mad.
I'm just disappointed. But Sam like came to me and whispered to me like halfway through the movie. She's like, I think this is my movie of the year. And I was like, well, that's pretty bold statement for you, because she's definitely more harsh on things than I am, but not really. She's kind of like me well, she's kind of like me where she goes to movies to enjoy them, and like certain things that people nitpick, she can like she hated Venom 2. She thought it was like fucking dumb as fuck, you know, which it was very dumb. But she loved this movie. I love this movie too. But she never really said like, oh, that was super confusing or not. I think she just kind of like Game of Thrones, where you're just like, I'm just going with it, and hopefully I understand it all one day. You know.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, if nothing else, they did a great job of making a film that you can love. Like, you can just love it for the way it looks. You can love it for what happens in it. I mean, you don't necessarily need to understand like the geopolitical circumstances of the fucking, Imperium and all this other shit. I mean, I get that like you needed to make a more accessible movie, and so they did, and I appreciate that. I do think that there were some wasted opportunities. I think there was some wasted time. Like,
I understand that for sure.
Shit they went through. He goes through the prescience. He'll go through the prescience. You'll see it. Like, he will eventually have all of those visions. In the book, he just has all at once, right? So,
okay.
They're showing you a bunch of stuff, and there's actually some interesting imagery that you don't quite understand right now that you will eventually. He's saying that he's trying to make 3 movies, which is crazy, because if he's making Dune 1 and Dune 2,
like
that
Messiah,
means he's making Dune 3, which is just the 3 books of Dune, which is fucking insane, because no one's gonna go see a 3rd one of this fucking thing. They can't stretch it to 3. Or he's gonna
do Messiah. I think that's what he said.
Which is fucking. Is he really? That's.
I think that's what he
crazy.
said.
Ugh, yeah, I don't know. That's wild.
Is it
I mean,
crazy because it's just insane shit or what?
It's no, it's just like you're running into the exact same issue that you're in right now, which is that like Dune Messiah. I won't say what happens in it, but there's a time jump, and
Makes sense.
they introduce you to a whole bunch more shit that's going on in the universe and different characters and people and races and shit, and it's like there's just a whole different thing, and then you're getting like there's an abomination in there which doesn't make any fucking sense to anybody, but I'm just telling you about it. There's like all this other bullshit that's in there, and it's just so much more. He'd have to make another one, and if he's gonna make another one, I want to say this out loud on recording. If he's gonna make Dune Messiah, and then he's gonna make Dune Messiah 2, and then he's gonna make Children of Dune, he better fucking get to God Emperor of Dune and make Timothy Chalamet Ding Dong into a fucking sandworm. Yes, that's a spoiler. Everyone can suck it. If you get to God Emperor of Dune, then all credit to you. If Denis Villeneuve doesn't fucking pass away before he makes God Emperor of Dune, I will be shocked.
You think that's it? He's just Dune guy now? He's like, this is my life.
Maybe. Why not? He took his biggest break between films to do Dune. This one.
Dude.
If you like look at his release, it's almost like yearly or other year, and this one it was like a 4-year gap or 5-year gap, I think.
He's sucking the water out of the crevices of a worm carcass, and that's a book 6 reference for you. Like or book 5, he's sucking the water out of the crevasses of
Look at his face.
Yeah, exactly. That's Denis Villeneuve's future if he wants to get into this thing, because that's where I'm at right now. You know
they're doing a Bene Gesserit series for HBO Max too. I think he's not directing it. He might I'm sure he'll have a hand in it in some way, shape, or form.
One note that I didn't think is necessary to say, because it's really not at all, but like that series better be sexier, because I got a lot of like really tall hats vibe out of the Bene Gesserit in the
tall hats.
And in actuality, the Bene Gesserit are like a sexual ninja type like order. Like they like use sex and violence to like manipulate the fucking universe. And
right.
Jessica's the hot one. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of old ladies being like, "Put your hand in this fucking box."
I'm in.
I will say that Sam, the only part that Sam laughed at is when Timothy Chalamet goes, "What's in the box?" And she's like, "They could have said any other fucking line. Like, really, he had to say what's in the box."
While we're talking about dialogue choices, are we not going to?
Oh my God, the millennium. Okay. Have you guys watched Witcher? Because I thought of this conversation with you guys as I'm okay.
That show sucks. Here's a hot take.
It's kind of cool.
I
like it.
God,
but
I can't stand that
their dialogue in that, they say like fuck and shit, and like people say like shite in it, which would make some more sense, but they're just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yo, this is our conversation about Dune where he's like, you good? It's like the same shit.
I think I texted Dane and Sean immediately, and I was like, what? I was like, are you in Newark? I was like, you good? What the fuck?
Dude, I it's exactly what I texted you. I did consciously think this during the movie, and I was like, some of the dialogue is really modernized for being some crazy dystopian future that overthrew fucking Terminator.
Yo, Ma, you good, fam? I mean, it would be foolish to believe that
you good
in 10,000 years from now, because this isn't like this isn't an alternate universe. This isn't
this is like way the fuck in the future.
This is because he talks about what the fuck's the guy's name in Breaking Bad? What do they call him in Breaking Bad? Whatever. This is great. Heidelson or something, fucking whatever the fuck. Whatever they make him call, whatever he makes people call him.
Heisenberg. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is it? I couldn't think of it.
This to tell you something really fucking pointless. But Paul he starts talking about the Heisenberg theories and shit in the book, because this universe is us right now, 10,000 years from right now. So listen, Belleville, New Jersey was still a place 10,000 years from now, and they're asking, "Yo, Ma,
You good?
you good? You know, like you want to go
Obviously,
you want to go to the local
future of
Kmart or whatever?"
humanity evolves from North Jersey. I'm not shocked at all. New Jersey, only the strong survive, and we
If I was
survive
to say,
to
if
Yeah.
I
an
if I had
empire.
to pick if I had to pick a section of this planet that was going to survive basically the plot of Terminator, I
It's
would pick.
yeah, it's facts. It's
Absolutely.
canonically confirmed now that the Sardaukar army are indeed distant relatives of New Jersey. It's
actually
canon.
started in
It's canon.
It's an MMA gym in Bayonne that actually went on to become the
So this is based out of the MMA gym in fucking Bayonne, New Jersey. Yeah,
Oh my
absolutely.
god, that makes too much sense, honestly. Like far
See,
far too much
honestly,
sense.
now that I'm thinking about it, when I recorded our last record, I saw some people on Spice. You know what I'm talking about? I think it's already here. I think we're already getting it.
we're already fucking there. So
Oh yeah.
before we wrap this up, I want to hear a rating. Okay, so what would Joey? What would you give this out of 5? 5 stars.
out of 5.
Out of 5.
5.
Okay, then do 10. Give it out of 10.
No, I'll break it into fractions. It's fine.
You can do 5 or 10, your choice.
I'm gonna say, I want to do 8.59.
That's a weird.
But I will say,
It's a weird. Okay.
I think again, after
Part 2, it's
Dune
gonna
2
go
comes
up.
out, I think my record might go up. But if Dune 2 never comes out, it stays the same.
It's
and
coming out. Yeah. I get you. Yeah.
I mean, hypothetically.
Yeah.
If it,
Yeah. Man.
Do you want to guess what I gave it?
I already know what you gave it.
It's not
You gave it a 10.
no, it's like a
I
I would give it like a 9 or a 9 or 9.5.
I'm getting a 9.5. It's a half a point away from being the best movie you've ever fucking seen. It's an 8 for me. It's an 8.875.
What the fuck, dude? These fucking weird ass fractions. I mean, that's fair.
8.875.
But this is a book super fan. Do you know what I mean? I have the privilege.
Yeah,
of
true.
I don't know any of this stuff, and you know.
I know a fraction of
the
the stuff.
So I was trying to remember what Dane said. And Dane goes, he throws Jessica goes, "They believe you are the Lisan Al Gaib, the voice from the outer world." And Paul goes, "Dead ass."
Yo,
for real, son?
yo, for real?
Fucking kid.
That's amazing.
He
That's
sends me
yo,
text
for
and just
real,
murders me.
I mean,
that part. It's so wild because when that part happened, I was sitting in the theater and I saw it with a friend who does not know anything about Dune, and we were watching it, and he did it, and I like turned and looked at my friend. My friend was already looking at me, and we didn't speak a fucking word about it. And then we just like moved on with our night. We didn't talk about it at all for the rest of the night. That was it. Like
it was definitely like the vibe when like one of your family members says something that you think might be vaguely racist, but just keeps talking really quickly, and you're like, Did you just?
They call that the construction worker special.
Oh my
You talk about it
god!
fast enough, no one will call you out.
You look down the table at your brother, like, did you also? Did I miss the?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you good? I was. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, listen, it's pretty tiring writing a 3.5-hour fucking screenplay.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I don't envy that person.
Director's cut. Oh my good lord!
It's
when HBO
6
Max
hours
got this
long.
director's cut, I'm gonna die watching it. I'm gonna die of fucking hunger. I'm from fucking watching it.
I say this as the dude that whenever I am scrolling through TV and one of the Lord of the Rings movies on, I turn it off so that I can turn on the director's cut to watch all 6. Like that's the kind of
fair.
I want to see a scene that is so on the cutting room floor that they didn't even change Gandalf's beard color. You know what I mean? They're like, yo, this part is so useless that I'm cutting it out before we even get to editing. But then they throw it in there, and I'm like, yo,
amazing.
I fuck with that.
Like,
hell
like
yeah!
Happening, and then you see like a boom mic in the corner of the shot. Like you're just like, this is wow, deep cut.
I'm like, wow, I love this. Like, oh man, like, I needed all of this. I needed all of this context.
Ethan, I think this actually this statement will surprise both of you. So I think the reason I liked it so much because I was like, I can't wait to see, which is kind of dumb to influence a movie, but it's how I like movies, so who gives a fuck? But I was so interested to see more in this world that I think it like elevated the movie a little bit for me. Kind of like preemptively saying what Joey said, basically. But if I had a choice right now to see Dune continue or see the MCU continue, I would pick Dune over the MCU, like 1,000 times over.
Now this is the guy that
1,000
said this
times
exact
over.
sentence.
Way to bury the lead, Sean. Jesus.
Yeah, I have said this exact quote to my brother. I said, if Marvel became a physical manifestation person, ran up to Sean and kicked him in the dick, Sean would proclaim it's a revelation.
Sean,
I might.
They gave him Endgame. They gave him Endgame, so it's essentially exactly what happened. He just got kicked in the fucking dick, and he thanked him for it. He was fine with it.
Maybe,
wow,
yeah,
dude,
probably.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me. I wish I liked anything as much as you like the MCU.
I like the movies.
That's why I love Sean, and that's why I because he loves something so much that I'm literally jealous of Sean being like, it was incredible.
And what Joey means by that is that I both honestly respect you for loving something so much that we want to ruin it for you so bad.
I know.
We are the Grinch. We are the Grinch that stole MCU love. And we just want to come down there and we want to burn the movie theater down while you're in line.
That's like my favorite part is when Ethan sees like an MCU movie or anything. He won't even bring it up to me if he didn't like it. He'll just be like, "Hey, I really like that," and I'm like, "Cool, dude, nice." he's like, "Hey, man, I really like that," and I'm like, "Cool, man, that's cool. I like that you like that. I like that you like that."
I've had ADD, minor, a little bit of dyslexia since I was, I don't know, 12, 13 years old. I've had multiple concussions. I just forget everything. Anytime Ethan says something is good and I haven't seen it, it is burned into my mind. I'm like, I'm
watching it. I gotta go. I'm going to watch it right now.
A mental list. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck it is. I just have a title, but I gotta see what the fuck this movie is immediately.
I'm glad I have that effect on you.
That was another massive disappointment for me. Was that when the movie was over, I didn't know that Ethan was a Dune super fan until after. He's like, "Have you read the books? I've read all the books, blah, blah, blah." And I'm just like, fuck, I wish I had gone into this knowing, because I would have been texting you right after. I would have been like, tell me what is all. I was so bummed I didn't know.
I could have punished you. If you want to do another podcast of me just spoiling this entire series for everybody, I can absolutely fucking do it. Because it's just so fucking cool and weird. And, you know, Frank Herbert is such a fucking weirdo. And like,
if I have read the book into completion, I probably would have been like, fuck it. But it's more so because I want to read it, and I don't want to get spoiled on it. I don't give a fuck about who's listening to get spoiled. Whatever, man. It's mostly me.
Fair, yeah. Listen, I think the first Metalcore Nerds I ever did, I fucking ruined some shit. I don't even remember. I go out of my.
You might have, yeah.
Was it the podcast that you ruined? Because I remember we ruined a couple at this point. I think
I ruined Rob. I ruined Rob Miramonte. Me and Joey tag team on ruining that one actually. Yeah.
Fair.
I'm very happy with it. I loved it. They fucking nailed ornithopters, which is tight. I mean, like,
those look so fucking cool, dude. Honestly, that's one thing we didn't talk about. Like,
they're fucking awesome.
Even the ships, like all of the ships and like the big fucking circle thing they came through. I was like, how do you think of this shit? Like, how do you consciously go, I'm going to fucking make this?
The big mouth ships are based on like original fucking artwork from like the some of it is actually from the 80s movies concept art.
Oh,
like that,
wow.
The big mouth ship that spits stuff out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was concept art for the movie or concept art from like fucking heavy metal and the French magazine that they were using as like inspiration. But as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I know that painting. And like I follow all these like concept artists. So like it's great because the movie comes out and then your feed just blows up. People going, "This is the shit I designed for that they didn't use, and this is the shit I designed that didn't use." And I'm just like,
I saw the dude from this movie post a ton of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, the ship design in science fiction and fantasy Ship design is the hardest fucking thing to do because you are never going to design an X-wing. You are never going to design a Millennium Falcon. You're never going to design a fucking Enterprise. Not only that, you can't do anything that's even remotely fucking like those things.
Fuck no.
Because if you're making a fucking thing and something goes that looks like an X-wing, you've destroyed it. You've ruined it.
Yeah, you're screwed.
You're fucked.
You know what I'm saying? Especially with Dune. Dune has to be fucking Dune only.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like a piece of shit in my head when I saw the Ornithopters, I thought of that fucking John Carter of Mars movie. And I'm just like, it's similar to that, but those are lame, and this is cool as shit. Obviously,
big difference.
Like Dune, you know, like, but I'm just like, it's so difficult. The ship design and layout design for like towns and shit, where you have to make cultures.
Dude,
you have to make something. It's the most difficult fucking thing.
Deity Prime is exactly how I imagined it. Like the Harkonnens' home planet is so like cold and like just like unforgiving and disgusting, and like the reason that they've lost all their body hair is because there is no sun there and all this other like awesome fucking shit that like they just pulled it off so well. And then there's a couple things I just wanted to touch on really quickly. Yeah, the ship design are so cool. Like they have this like air of regency that's so cool. Like the Emperor's ship feels like an Emperor's ship. The fucking Bene Gesserit ship feels like it's in the shadow. It's like they all have this feeling to them. That quote that's in the first thing that happens in the movie, like it says something about dreams, which I can't remember exactly what it is.
Yep.
But the audio of that, like it's in the Harkonnen language, I believe, but it's just like it sounds fucking insane. Like
insane.
Everything about this movie has like every feel and look and all of it hits exactly how it should. Like the way I said, like Arrakis feels like a prison, but it's huge. And then like, you know, Deity Prime feels like the Harkonnens feel. And there's just I think that endless.
The Sardaukar world was incredible. It's just like it's like a
vampire
planet or something.
Yeah,
like
dude.
Right. The first thing I thought when I saw the Sardaukar world was I thought it was watching a Hellraiser movie. I was like, soldiers. I was like, this is you get the gist. And the best thing was the Harkonnen are so hardcore evil. You get it immediately, and you look at their stuff. You go, yeah, those are cool evil army. Then you see the Sardaukar, and you're like,
what the fuck?
They look nothing alike.
No,
but they're totally different fuck you vibes, you know?
Yeah.
Which is hard to fucking do. Which is why if you want to do a Star Wars movie, you can't do another evil empire. That's like when they tried to bring in those fucking like evil aliens in Star Wars in the later books, and no one gave a fuck because it's not easy to do. It's not a thing you can just fucking do. And they did it with ease. Like with fucking ease.
Yeah. And like I feel like they approached everything in a different way. Like the Leto Atreides house felt so like warm and
regal.
It had this feeling to it, regal. And then you know, like legitimately everything with Harkonnen felt like a horror movie. Like him getting dipped in the oil and like coming out of the oil and all this shit, that felt like a fucking horror movie. And
even him like going to see him after when Leto tries to kill all of them, and I honestly thought the Baron was dead, but when they go back and he's fucking crawled up in the fucking corner of the ceiling, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what? He's a fucking alive? I was like, holy shit.
I will say that I think that they're utilizing the prescience, the clips that you're getting of the prescience. I think that they're utilizing it in such a way that they want you over the course of these next two movies, because he's telling a overarching story.
Yeah.
I think that it's hard for him to tell that Paul sees everything all the time. And that is really difficult to explain to someone who has a human brain, right? Like a finite brain. We don't even understand infinity, let alone the fact that Paul is not only seeing the future, he's seeing every single possible future all at once in one big smash all at the same time. So when you're seeing him talking to Jameis and Jameis is telling him to let go and he's like clearly has this relationship with this guy and then he kills the guy, right? You're getting this feeling where, to me, it was telling a story of he's seeing everything even though he's not, this isn't the
Living it.
path. And
Yeah.
I think that that's giving you, when you watch both movies together, I think it's going to help you to understand that he is walking a path, but he sees all at once. And I feel like that will play a little better in the next movie.
And I
Damn.
think, and that's another thing that from what I've read and everything, like there's so much stuff with people forget when you read something. The most important thing about writing fiction and fantasy and reading those things is when you're trying to narrate horror, or you're trying to narrate fear or impressiveness. The best part about it is the reader, when they don't have a visual representation, will autocorrect and fill what their version of the most impressive looking guy could be. What is the most scariest fucking monster? And they could say it's got tentacles, it's got fangs, it's got stripes, and 20 different people will see their personal scariest version of that thing. That's the beauty of a fucking book. You make a movie and you can say he sees all timelines at the same time. How the fuck do you show that visually?
Right.
How do you know what I'm saying? And that thing specifically is an almost insurmountable fucking concept to lay out while having to do other things in a fucking movie. It's
right.
fucking
And I think
hard.
the only way to do it is to show you things that then don't happen, which is
It's
literally what they did. Like,
Yeah.
Chani killing him. Okay, spoiler. Chani doesn't fucking kill him.
I figured.
Right. So like they're showing you this thing that you're like, wait, what the fuck am I seeing? But if you put them all together, you're seeing Jameis as his best friend,
Yeah,
teaching
his
him
mentor. Yeah.
teaching him how to ride a fucking worm. Right. That's what he's doing. And then like showing Chani killing him obviously doesn't happen, right? But like they're showing you all this stuff, and eventually you'll get the feeling where you're seeing his prescience, which he's not experiencing yet in the book, but they're taking the time to do it, and I appreciate it. So, in conclusion, 8.759 for me. That's where I'm at.
Solid score. That's pretty much a 20 in most other people's scales.
Yeah, you're fucking right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially considering what a fucking fan you are of knowing the shit. Like it's like
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, that's a like I will say, even though like we brought up stuff he left out and stuff like that, it is like an insanely faithful adaptation. Like it feels like the book. It feel like I read it only seeing the trailer, and then reading the part with like even with the box in the trailer, I was like, I can totally see this. Like it makes so much sense. Like it feels like the book. Like obviously they had to change some things, cut some things, shit like that, change a few things up.
David Lynch fucking nailed that part. The first 20 minutes of the original Dune, he kills it. The rest of it's total trash. But I think that Joey made an extremely good point, which is, dude, like you're gonna visualize book, however you're going to visualize it. I think that this movie was a visualization of the story I read better than anyone could have ever done it. I literally wouldn't have put it in anyone else's hands.
So you knowing and read the book, every time you saw something, you were like, I know what that is, even if it's not what you visualized originally. So that's fucking see, because like, and again, like, so you're watching this movie as a super fan of knowing the source material. I'm watching this movie not really knowing it, but also as like a visual artist who like I super appreciate concept art. It's like one of my favorite things to look at. It's and like paintings and all this fucking stuff that I know about, like just from just being old and of reading it. Watching the fucking movie was a fucking treat. Like just looking at the fucking thing and like I know who designed the Star Wars ships. I know I know when they did this CGI that it's based on Phil Tippett shit from this. I know these things, and to see them all done like so good. It's so there's so many times I had to stop because I'm just staring at shit, and I'm like, what's carved into that wall? What's on that thing? And I'm like, is that stone? Like, oh, it's like a stone slab, and now they put Atreides stuff on it, but it used to be Harkonnen. It was built for Harkonnen. And I'm like, all these fucking pretty fucking things. And like you were saying with the ship designs, like, oh, those ships look like that, and it's kind of stark and it's angular because Harkonnens are kind of angular. Oh, and the fucking Atreides ones are a little bit fucking softer. And when they're all landed on the ship, and the forward team is receiving the new Atreides as they land on the thing, and there's the Fremen on the outskirts, and you're looking at all these fucking ships, and I'm just going, like all of it, and I'm like, oh shit, what did he say? Like, it's just
Yeah.
so much goodness.
And I mean, I will say to that point, like, Beast Raban is wrong. Like, that Dave Bautista is not a good Beast Raban technically, but when I saw Dave Bautista, I was like, that's Beast Raban. Like, I was like, okay, like, it was never a point where I was like, that's not right. Like, it was just the things that he did where he took, luxuries were done so well that it was like, I'm glad that Beast Raban was what he was.
Mm-hmm.
And so the change was worth it. And it just, all around, it was a great film. And I think, honestly, my score will go up when I get the second half, when it is a complete, because, he's not going to make fucking a 6-hour flick, which I wish he would, which he will eventually. It's going to pick up.
Technically, Technically, it is going to be a 6-hour. Yeah.
It's a good sign when you get someone like me and someone like Ethan saying, I know I'm going to like this more when the second movie comes out. Like, with that much optimism based on what you give us, even when we have all the problems that we've laid out, we still are like, we're still gonna like it more when the new one comes out. And it's like, you just know that, all right, you did a good fucking job, because
you did.
Without just specifically hating it to hate it, we're about the most critical two people could be from two different points of viewing. I think.
Yeah.
That's got to mean something. It's like.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen this movie yet, you should. And if you haven't, you're a total fucking nerd, and not like a cool nerd. You're like a
bad nerd.
Whack nerd. Yeah, you're a whack nerd. Like,
no, this movie is incredible. You should watch this movie. I don't give a fuck who you are. Just watch the damn movie. I mean, if you watched it, if you didn't watch it and listen to this, I mean, you kind of ruined the whole thing for you. But
you blew it.
Yeah,
exactly.
you blew it.
Yeah, I hope I fucking ruined it for you.
But honestly,
if you still see this movie having all the spoilers that we just gave you, you're still gonna.
Yeah, you're still gonna be like, holy fuck.
You're still gonna like this fucking movie. I could watch this movie with the fucking sound off.
Yeah,
I could.
I'm literally doing that right now. I'm watching this movie with the fucking sound off.
But hey guys, thanks for hitting me up and shoehorning me in.
Sean,
just kidding. I mean, this is.
We love having you every time you pop on the podcast. It's always a pleasure. Everyone, me and Ethan, you can follow us on Twitter. Sean, do you have a Twitter? Something you like to plug?
You got some pluggables you want to plug here, big guy?
Yeah. Metalcorenerds.com at Metalcore Nerds. Do the thing,
Cool. Thanks for coming thanks for coming to the most recent episode of Why Are They Yelling? And
the best name for a podcast that doesn't actually exist is Why Are They Yelling?
It should exist. It definitely should exist. But awesome. We'll see you guys next week. Hawkeye's coming, so I'll be talking about that probably. So. See you later, nerds.